Hey, aloha kako, aloha everybody. So happy to be able to host our little mana'o time today. We actually have a very special host, our tita, Emalani Case, who is, one of the everythings. Some of the amazing things that I admire about Emalani is how she is the most beautiful writer, how she captures Hawaii in her words, how she's able to express herself, and we're able to see into a space that, I'm sure not many people can, but she allows that to happen, and I appreciate her bravery in that. Emma is a product of so many beautiful products from Waimea, from Hana of the cases, went to Kanuoka ʻAina, has gone on to be able to teach here at UH West, is now teaching at University of Victoria. Of course, she has her doctorates, but that is not her defining character. Her number one thing that I see is that she loves our ʻāina. She is such a kiaʻi, full of passion. And so I'm so happy to have you here today, Tita, with me and Hema. Mahalo Nui for being here. Hema, you got anything to say before we go right into Tita Emalani?
No, maikaʻi.
All right. So mahalo, thank you for being here with us today. Our theme of what we've kind of been talking about, as we're trying to continue to reach out to our students for Nāulu Center and for West Oahu, has been trying to go back to those values or those proverbs or some of those things that have helped lead and guide you through your life and first time experience with it, and how you've now seen, where the multiple touches that it's been able to continue. So if you can kind of talk about that, and then feel free if you have any questions to either Hema or myself to ask as well. But I'll turn the time over to you, Maiti.
Hi, Mahalo Nui. First, thank you for asking me to come and share some mana'o, and for that beautiful intro. I almost got a bit teary-eyed, but I kept it together. Yeah, it's always just an honor, I think, to talk story and to share thoughts, share energy, especially when it has a purpose for a much larger audience, or for our haumana, or for future generations, or whatever. So mahalo nui for having me. I was thinking yesterday about ʻōlelo Noʻeau, and the thing I love about Proverbs is you can always find one that's going to speak to your life at the moment when you need it, right? Our kupuna were just incredible. And I love that we have this like little treasure chest of wisdom that we can always go to. But one that's always been constant in my life, and yes, I'm from Waimea, so I love it even more, is I think the full ʻōlelo Noʻeau is he ʻAʻaliʻi ku makani mai au. A'ohe makani nana e kula'i. It's like saying, I'm a wind resistant ʻAʻaliʻi, and there's no wind that will knock me over. It's kind of a boastful ʻōlelo Noʻeau. It's kind of a boastful proverb, but that's really not the way that I use it. I use it as it's a constant reminder for me to be strong and to be resilient no matter what. And for me, again, talking about my love of Waimea, which is where I'm from, my early memories of ʻAʻaliʻi are driving over Saddle Road. I don't know, some people call it the Daniel K. Inouye Road now. It will always be Saddle Road for me. But driving over Saddle Road from the Waimea side and seeing the ʻAʻaliʻi in the pastures. And the thing I really love about ʻAʻaliʻi is it's beautiful. When it's blooming and you see those little clusters, those dark maroon and red and purple clusters, it's breathtaking. But like for the rest of the year, they're not the most showy plant. ʻAʻaliʻi might almost like blend into the other surroundings. And I love that because it's like, I feel like it's a symbol of who we are as people. We're always going to be there. We're always going to be strong. We're always going to stand. We're always going to be resilient. The rest of the world might not see us. They might not acknowledge us. But when it comes to it, we're there. We're rooted, we're grounded, and we're going to endure. So yeah, I think that particular ʻōlelo Noʻeau, and I usually just look at the first part, he ʻAʻaliʻi ku makani, a wind-resistant ʻAʻaliʻi. It really is, for me, just a reminder of the strength and resilience of our ancestors that allow us to be here today. But even more than that, I think it stands as a model and a reminder of what is required of us today. You know, I have a dear friend here in Aotearoa named Tina Ngata. And in her latest book, or she just had a book published last year, and at the very beginning, she says to be indigenous is to be born into a political reality. We're born political. Why? Because we live in a world that keeps trying to make less and less space for us. So if you're born indigenous, already you're politicized. So the ʻAʻaliʻi is that reminder that no matter what, because being indigenous is beautiful, but it's hard too. So through all that hardship, you remain strong, you remain grounded, you remain steadfast, no matter what. And I sometimes tell my students, for me, being indigenous is not an identity. For me, being indigenous is a kuleana, it's a responsibility. So every single day I wake up choosing to act upon that indigeneity, because for me, we have no other choice. If I choose to ignore it, then I'm gonna cease to exist as an indigenous person. What is that gonna do to my na'au, you know, and to my spirit? And that's not gonna give my future generations any model of what it means to be Kanaka, of what it means to be aloha ʻaina. So, you know, the ʻAʻaliʻi is a symbol of the strength and resilience of our kupuna, but it's also a reminder of what we need to be every single day, because we are the ancestors in becoming for our future generations. And I want them to be able to look at me and all of us and go, wow, Hema ʻAʻaliʻi makani lako. They were wind resistant ʻAʻaliʻi, so we can be too, you know. So the ʻAʻaliʻi kind of holds its ground no matter what. It holds its space. And in doing so, continues to almost insist that we as Kanaka, as indigenous people, will always have a space in the world. So yeah, that's why I love that ʻōlelo Noʻeau, and especially when it gets hard, you know, when it gets heavy, when it's real kaumaha, then I look at that ʻōlelo Noʻeau, I look at that proverb and I go, well, that's the hana, that's the kuleana, that's the work. That's what we got to do. And we're going to be stronger for it. Yeah.
Yeah. Mahalo. Wow. Always wow. Seriously, Emalani, thank you. Thank you for that explanation and your understanding of what that means, because, you know, I'm sure this is a time, especially now for all of us, it's been a time of trying to, how do we stay strong when not having all of our, you know, around us. And I was wondering if you can kind of speak on that, because you are experiencing this in a different place. Yeah. You know, you are all the way, you know, for me, I know my partner is 4,848 miles. I'm sure it's somewhere around that, maybe just 4,800 because you Wellington, but you know, if you can kind of talk about like a little bit of how that's also now helped you during this time as your ohana and your ʻaina is so far, but you also are deeply connected to the community around you.
Yeah. Mahalo for that question. You know, moving here to Aotearoa was, of course, it means physical separation from my ʻaina. You know, I grew up in Waimea. Mauna Kea was in my view every single day. I could greet her, you know, talk to her every single day. And it was, when I moved here, it was a really big lesson to me that physical distance never ever separates us, actually. It never separates us from ʻaina, and it never ever separates us from kuleana. And so I carry my ʻaina in me every day. And it's being here so far away has pushed me into a new kind of practice where, you know, I got to give credit to all of my Samoan and Tongan friends who talk about the V-A, with a kahako over the A, which is like a relational space. And it's the idea that no matter the distance between two things or two people or two places, there's a relational space, there's a va. And you have to work every single day to cultivate and nurture and take care of that va. So every day is a practice in how do I cultivate and nurture and make sure the va between me and my mauna, between me and my ohana, between me and my ʻaina, between me and my lahui is strong. And something that I teach my students, and maybe this will be helpful as well, is that I think no matter where we are in the world, there is so much power in knowing us, knowing who we are, and being self-actualized. So being self-actualized is really just knowing what you're good at and knowing what you're not good at, you know? that not everybody has to stand on the front lines. I love the people who stand on the front lines. I mahalo them plenty. But if you can't be on the front lines, there's all kinds of things you can do too. The Mauna, for example, needs the people who are going to stand on the front lines as much as it needs the people who are going to cook, as much as it needs the people in the medic tent, as much as it needs the people who are going to hold it down from wherever they are in the world in Pule, or the people who are going to write the letters to the governor, to the testimonies or whatever. So I think no matter the distance, there are so many ways that we can act upon our kuleana to ʻāina, and it's just us tapping into what our strengths are. Maybe it's music, maybe it's singing. T knows I can't sing to save my life. So that's why I love her voice, because her voice and her singing fills people, right? So it's about finding the way that you can give to the lahui and doing that. So being distanced from Hawaii physically has kind of pushed me to explore some of those things. I used to say things like, oh, if only I were home on the Mauna, I could do this. Now I tell myself, you're not on the Mauna, so what can you do because you're not there? Maybe you gotta help write the letters. You know, it's like RIMPAC. Right now we're in the middle of, fighting this huge maritime war game that, comes back to Hawaii every 2 years. I'm not in Hawaii. What can I do because I'm not in Hawaii? Help people mobilize here to get New Zealand to pull out of RIMPAC, write the letters. There's so much we can do, and we have all these tools that are at our disposal right now because of the world that we live in. So I think I've rambled on and on, but I think just in terms of distance, it's everyday work. I miss home, don't get me wrong, but home is in me every single day. And I truly do believe that we are ʻāina. We carry it every day as kanaka, and that's one of the beautiful gifts we've gotten from our kupuna. So every day then, knowing that and waking up with that knowing, there's an opportunity to ask ourselves the question, well, what am I going to do with that relationship today? And how am I going to mend it and make sure it's strong?
No, mahalo, Emalani, for bringing up your ʻōlelo Noʻeau. And when you actually brought it up, I was thinking about that very same one, but a different version of it.
He ʻAʻaliʻi kumakua, a he makani nana e kulaʻi.
Actually brought up, okay, what can you do from the back? And that's usually where I am, unless somebody like forces and kicks me in the butt to go up in the front. Or I am this ʻAʻaliʻi that stands way in the back.
Yeah.
And even though I'm in the back, there is no makani that can push me.
Mm-hmm.
And doing things for the Mauna, doing things for ʻāina, how can we as Kanaka do it from home? How can I show my aloha for ʻāina at home first before I go and do things for the community? I gotta make sure that my home, my niho here is pa'a.
Yeah.
Bombay, I go out and I just crumble and I'm gonna look stupid or something's gonna happen that's going to interrupt my connection with these kanaka or with these different vahipana, these different iwi that I come into contact with. So speaking on ʻAʻaliʻi, and most times people think that ʻAʻaliʻi is a shrubby plant, but at the slopes of Hualalai, I've seen ʻAʻaliʻi 30 to 40 feet tall, straight, like o'o, ihe, for days.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until this uncle from Waimea told me, oh yeah, I need you to go to this certain place. This is what you're going to look for. You make this left, this right. You go through these bushes, you'll see them. So I'm driving along the road with Solomon uphill. Me and him is going crazy because I'm new to this. I mean, new to look. I know what it looks like, but new to looking for a 30-foot, 40-foot ʻAʻaliʻi in the bush. And this old man is an old dog, but there's zero new tricks that he can teach me because this guy is forgetful and he just, I don't know where we stay. I've been here before, but I don't know why. I'm like, oh my gosh, come on now. So we get to the slope of Hualalai and we're at this gate and he's like, I don't think we came up this far. And I'm like, okay, well, maybe we'll try the road below. So we drive to the road below and it's raining and I parked the car and I get out and I tell him, I said, I see ʻAʻaliʻi. And he's like, where? I said, it's right there. Where? It's behind the ohia. If you were to actually look, you couldn't tell the difference from the road. You had to walk just 5 feet away from the Waunahele. So getting there and I'm looking and I'm like, yeah. So this helped me in that time where I needed self-realization that you don't need to be in the front to be recognized. Yeah, ʻAʻaliʻi kumakena. And yeah, I'd like to mahalo you for actually using that. And for the past 3 years, T, I've been working with students from Kanoa ʻāina, from Ehunui Kaimalino, from Halau Kumana, and bringing them forth and introducing them to different things that we can offer at the University of Hawaii West Oahu via our programs. And our program's name is actually ʻAʻaliʻi. So that was the initial mana'o. That was what they wanted for these students, was for them to be ʻAʻaliʻi kumakani. And this past year, I taught them to be ʻAʻaliʻi kumakena. It was at the height of the movement, and all of them is from Waimea, and they're like, no, my mom is here, my mom is this, and my mom is that. And I'm like, okay, this is what we can do. Pule. That's all we can do. From here, pule for those kanaka over there. Pule for those kanaka in Ihumato. Do these things, because pule is the number one thing that our kupuna had on lock.
Yeah.
And they do pule. They pule for this, pule for this, pule for this, oli for this. And I know you coming from a hula background, that's everything, right? So, teaching these kids that, yes, being on the front lines is important. That's their kuleana. Let them do that. For now, this is what we got to do. You guys got to get educated. Get educated so you guys can stand up there on the podium and scream your heads off, but articulate yourselves properly where people will understand you. You got to speak their language.
Yeah.
Yes, you can ʻōlelo Hawaii, but 90% of the people in Hawaii don't speak ʻōlelo Hawaii anymore. It used to be 90% of us, but now it's 90% of us don't. So there is a gap and a few generations more that we need to go to get to the level of understanding whakapapa and mo'oku auhau and who we are as Kanaka here in Hawaii before we can get a whole community to ʻōlelo Hawaii, or get a whole community back home on their own ʻāina, on their own kuleana lands. But yeah, mahalo again for actually bringing up that very meaningful ʻōlelo Noʻeau.
Yeah.
Aloha Nui.
Mahalo.
And Tita, as you were talking, it actually Epeli Ha'ofa's Sea of Islands, and that concept when you're talking about Va, and us looking at the strength in our connector being the ocean. And you talking about ʻāina, it is even though it is two different islands, we are connected with our ocean to our species. And so mahalo nui for those reminders, and especially as during this time, we kind of all feel like we're our own little islands, in our own houses. And, what a great reminder to continue to stay strong, and mahalo Hema to remember to, ho'i right inside and remember and remember. So mahalo for your time. I love you. We miss you. Happy that you're safe and you're doing well and thriving. And if any of our students, want to delve into, the life of Emma, I know you do have a blog, right? What's your blog?
I do. It's called Hewahi Pa'akai. It's a little package of salt. Bridging to the idea of the ocean. If you think about every single grain of Pa'akai, it's an ocean in every single one. So my blog is my little, like I can sprinkle some salt on there, and it might hurt, like when you put salt on a wound, or it might add flavor or a little bit texture, but it's just a little something. It's just kind of where I put my mana'o about usually social issues or social justice or kia'i work. But
yeah, well, I love eating the seasoned food from your plate, like, because so mahalo nui. Thank you so much for your time and for everything that you do. And, you know, hopefully if you ever need kokua, we're here to help you as well. Please know that. And you know, mahalo with all of my heart for taking the time out of your busy schedule.
of course, time.
Mahalo nui.